I just believe in the process, and we're going to win going through the process.
Now, Bills Mafia. It's time for the main event. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Bills Mafia, welcome to the Red, White and Buffalo Blues. Robin,
good evening.
Matt, talking Bills news with a UK twist. And what is it? It's now 10-0. 10-0
Yes.
in season games.
10 successive wins in pre-season going back. Yeah.
If this carries on, we do it into regular season, go 10-0, then great. I think it's amazing. Yeah. I think we got one step in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. 3 pre-seasons. So just the one more pre-season win, 17 regular seasons, which I'm pretty sure would guarantee us a number 1 seed in the bye, and then just the 3 post-seasons just to finish the job.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's we have 100% success rate as of this season.
I think it's more than likely. I think. I think
absolutely nothing can go wrong.
Now you said that.
As we can now say that Josh Allen completed 1 possession and got off the field without getting injured, because there was that certain duality, wasn't there, among the Bills Mafia of oh great, Josh will play. Oh no, Josh mustn't play because oh god, look at Zach Wilson. Look at all the possibilities. The Tampa Bay lad's out for the season, isn't he? After the left tackle, wasn't he? He was out after the season, and God, you wouldn't wish that on anyone. I just
think it's good that they've actually given him a series. Obviously, they want. I can understand the reason why they wanted to give him a run out at least in 1 game, because of just having how Ken Dorsey in the box and how they're going to communicate and all that. Yep. So that's fine on there, and it's pretty much, and we're going to come about this when we review the game. Pretty much the Aaron Cromer effect, pretty much, and we'll come to that when we get there, because there is a lot of good stuff that we can actually talk about in this game. I mean, it's the first home or the second home game. It was 42-15 the Bills. I think the first 6 drives all ended in touchdowns. Yeah. And it's just
weren't four of them running as well.
Yeah, 4 of them were running, and then you had strikes to Howard and Gabe Davis, and this. And I tweeted this. on the UK Bills Twitter. This offense, judging by what we've seen, and okay, people are going to say, yeah, they're playing against second string, third string guys. There was still some first string guys actually out there for the Broncos.
Yeah,
I think there were a few. Ojimemi, there were a couple of them. Mainly they are second teamers, but if you can get an offense that's firing on all cylinders like that, you've got to be confident going into the season with this, with what Dorsey can actually do. Because you look at the 3 quarterbacks. I mean, Josh Allen, 3 for 3, 45 yards, 1 touchdown, perfect game.
Yes.
Matt Barkley,
no
7 completions, 8 attempts, 65 yards, 100%, 100.5 quarterback racing. Case Keenum, 16 out of 18, 192 yards, 1 touchdown, 129.6 passer rating. We only had 3 incompletions on this offense for it, and we had to combine with our quarterbacks at combined quarterback rating of 133.
And no turnovers.
There was no fumbles, no turnovers.
No.
I think it's really giving us a good heads up, a good feeling going into the first game, where we are going to be put to the test against a stingy Rams defense. But when you've got at least Allen actually going 3 for 3, you've got only 3 incompletions. Again, they'll say it's second team only, second and third team Broncos, but it could be Rams have a few injuries to key players in there. You're going to say the same thing if the Bills put 42 points on them, on their defense, and they say, oh yeah, they're missing a couple of players. It's just nice to see that there's no not leftover, not stopover. What's the word to describe it? No, I don't know. From Dable leaving to Dorsey taking over.
Yes, the continuity's there, isn't
That's
it?
the word.
With the singles. Well, one thing about the Broncos Broncos, for any of the problems that they've had, you couldn't lay the problems of the defense at their door. One of the most highly regarded defenses as well. It was their offense that had trouble last year, which is why they've gone to the trouble of getting Russell Wilson. So the Broncos' second string defense is probably going to be pretty decent. I don't know much about them, but if your first string defense is very good, it probably stands to reason that your backups are probably pretty strong as well. But yeah, there wasn't a lot to worry about. They came out, they looked, and certainly when the first came out in that first possession, Josh looked like he hadn't been away. It looked like they just picked up where they'd left off against the Patriots and the Chiefs in the playoffs. They were in sync. He made the right calls, made the right passes, and of course they weren't going to call any designed runs. They would have told him get straight down. If you were going to give up a sack, kind of thing, get straight down on the ground. They probably would have played a fairly low risk offense. But you look at that. You look at the touchdown pass. He looks to Davis. He's not there. He goes to the second read. He's not there. Gets a bit of trouble. Spins around. Gets out of it. Davis is now running into space. If you saw the replay from like from up in the stands, and you can actually see Davis is covered, and then Josh circles back, and then Davis is free, and he's running towards the set, and Josh spots him straight over, and you never even hesitated for a second. You knew he was going to make that and come down with it.
Yeah,
I mean, this team looks dialed in and focused already.
Yeah, I think everyone from last week actually thought, okay, if Josh does go down, we're going to struggle here. But I think Case Keenum may have put that to bed, because 16 out of 18 for the series after Josh left, they still left that starting O-line in, and I have a feeling, and this is my hunch, that to start the game against the Rams and maybe going forward for a few games at least, that you're going to see the first team offensive line as Dawkins, Saffold, Morse, Bates, and Quesenberry.
Yes, agreed.
And you saw how well they actually held up in protection, not just for Allen, but for Barkley, for Keenum as well. And again, people are going to say, are going to judge it based on performance, but you had Keenum last week behind a load of second and third string guys and guys that may not even make the cut, but behind a pretty much your starting caliber offensive line shows that he can be that relief should Josh Allen go down for a couple of games, and that we have got probably the best backup in the NFL in Case Keenum.
And I think he probably had a point to prove. I think all those turnovers and all those interceptions, some of them on him, and some of them perhaps less so. A couple of slightly bad plays from the receivers, from Kumar and Crowder last week. All the same, he had a point to prove, and I think he probably made it as well to McDermott. You're allowed one game in preseason to get those interceptions and get those turnovers out of the way. Yeah, he looked a lot better, and there's no backup that will be anywhere near to replacing Josh Allen. But if he is out for a couple of games, and which I'm sure we'll come on to, what looked like a much improved run game, that helps take the pressure off the quarterback as well. If you've got a half decent run game, it doesn't really matter who your quarterback is. You just got to hand the ball off. As long as you can do that,
sure.
The run game will keep you in it. So again, that's again builds in that resiliency into the offense.
And just to put in perspective, when you look at the team stats and all that, the Bills had, and we'll go on to it in their rushing in a minute, 208 yards rushing on 7.7 rush per attempt. They've had, if we look at it, they had 510 total yards in 4 less plays than the Broncos. They had where is it? Possession. The Broncos had it for 31 minutes. The Bills had it for 28 minutes. This shows how efficient this offense really is, and how it can be deadly in the off season. Because I mean, we had 6 straight touchdown drives. 7th one failed. The 8th one, it was a kneel down, pretty much. But the Bills pretty much doubled, or nearly doubled, Denver's total yardage, and 302 passing yards to 242, 208 rushing yards compared to 32 to the Broncos. You're just seeing a dominant performance, and it's only week 2 of preseason.
Yeah, I don't know when the. Oh, sorry, mate. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, how can you not look past that and say, building the momentum, even with the second and third strings going out next week against the Panthers, and showing the depth that we have, how can you not favor the Bills in the upcoming season with an offense that explosive and have that many weapons?
Yeah, it's the two-hander, isn't it? It's at the elite level, at their elite level of Diggs and possibly Davis and of course Josh Allen. You have an offensive weapon that can pretty much beat anyone on their day, and we saw that against the Patriots and we saw that against the Chiefs in the playoffs. The question then is, to use the old Bill Belichick thing, okay, if you take the best weapon away, what do you have left? Do you look quite so clever if I take away your top 2 receivers? Well, if you take away Diggs and you take away Davis, we've still got Shakir, we've still got McKenzie, we've still got, I think, a possible Jamison Crowder. I think he had a actually pretty decent bounce back game. I think he goes as part of the 53. How's the run game looking as well? Can your defense keep you into it? So on the one hand, you have the elite, unstoppable top end of the offense, which everyone has, your Tyreek Hills and your Derrick Henrys. But do you have strength and depth? Kind of keep the engine ticking over, and the Bills at both ends of that offense have that, and that's what builds the confidence. Because Diggs, he's going to be fantastic, but he's going to have perhaps the odd off day, or they're going to put your best cornerback against him. They're going to keep him quiet. Likewise for Davis. Likewise for, let's say, the run game. Likewise for particular tight ends. But the Bills now have so many different ways to beat you. You can't cover them all, and they've got enough strength and depth that if Diggs does go out for a couple of games, or if we lose Singletary for a couple of games, or if we lose Davis, or if we lose someone for a few games, they've got guys that can come in, that can take over.
And you just look at the run game itself, at least for this game. I mean, it's led again by Blackshear, and this is going to pose an interesting question.
Very interesting.
Do you roster him well, or do you actually do you cut him and try and stash him up onto the practice squad? Because there are going to be GMs that are actually looking at this and actually thinking, okay, he can do well. He can be a weapon, a dark horse, so to speak, in there.
Player. Yeah.
My feeling is potentially they could keep him. But hear me out on this.
Okay.
They're going to more likely put Trey White on the physically unable to perform list to start with.
Maybe, not sure.
If they do,
Okay.
then obviously they can potentially roster Blackshear.
Okay.
As that extra, as that in his place. They may not,
Okay.
but then
Yes.
when they bring White back, Blackshear can then actually
Go to
be
the practice
released,
squad.
and hopefully no one will be able to pick him up, and they can stash him on that practice squad. Because
sorry if I finished hearing you out. Sorry if I got
no,
you got
carry
more.
on.
Okay, no, I was going to say, if you're putting Trey White on the PUP, and I'll make a bold prediction, I don't think they do. I think he's ready, and they're just keeping him under wraps. I think what they do is they name it Trey. This is my prediction. Happy to be wrong. Frequently am. They name Trey as part of the 53, but they don't play him against the Rams. They don't play him against the Titans. They just have him on the sideline. They have him like a not as a healthy scratch, but they maybe don't bring him on, or they threaten to bring him on so that they have to kind of game plan for him. So they think he's going to come back, but maybe he doesn't really play until say week 3. Because I think 4 games, if he's ready, is a lot to miss him for a guy that I think is just about ready to come back.
Then you can also say that it could be the same for Botka. If they put him on the pup, then Blackshear take him, and then when Botka comes back, because they'll have about 9 O-line already on there.
Yeah.
Or if they do decide to keep Andre Smith, I know he's banned for the first 6 games.
Yeah.
They put him on there and Blackshear. So there is a way they can get it on there. And I think having him, if they can stash him on the practice squad for that year.
Yeah.
And we know Singletary's in his contract year.
Yeah.
If Blackshear shows up in practices, and if he did ever get a call up, you could now start to think that Singletary could be on the bubble looking out, going for another payday with another team, test the free agency market. And we have that factory, if you want to call it that conveyor belt moving along.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Singletary, he looked good for his 4 attempts. He got 9.8 yards per rush, 39 yards. James Cook, 4 attempts, 9.5 yards per carry for 38 yards. Duke Johnson's going to make it.
Yes.
It's going to make it hard in there. So he probably won't make it, but he had 9 carries, 55 yards, 2 touchdowns, only a 6.1 average rush. Obviously, Blackshear 5.58, 11.6 attempt per completion. And again, we're not forgetting Zach Moss. He makes this team.
Yes, I think he does.
Everyone was, as we said last week, everyone was thinking he's not going to make this team. He's going to be on the bubble. But his 2 touchdowns pretty much came in the end, in the red zone. He did have 1 decent run.
Yes.
On the outfield.
Yes.
So you've got someone there who you've got that 3-headed Hydra pretty much come through. And then obviously Cook going out on the outfield as well. I mean, he ended up with 1 catch for 12 yards on 1 target. So you've got this offensive line that we say is going to be solid.
Yeah.
And probably starting, opening up this run game. And we've got in essence 5 good running backs, and we're only going to keep really 3. But it's can you stash Blackshear and Duke Johnson? I think the only other way they keep Blackshear on is if they get rid of Tyrone Jones as the gunner, unpopular with some people because Tyrone Jones is a good gunner, and actually have Blackshear as your kick and punt returner. Because I mean, he's had a couple of good. He had one return for 22 yards. Did well last week in punt and kick returns. Maybe that's his way. But again, we can sit here and discuss the moon how he can be rostered. Should he be rostered? I know most people will actually think that he is a good prospect, and for an undrafted guy, he is like in previous years when we had obviously Christian Wade as the as the camp favourite for the year. Was it Duke Williams?
Yeah.
Hodgins previously. Who was the one a while ago that everyone was really raving about, wanted to make it a fan's favourite in training camp? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
But Blackshear is that guy, and I think there is a way to keep him, and I hope that no one does pick him up.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope no one picks him up, but I can't see that he makes the 53 for as good as he's been. You made a very good point, actually, about opening up the running game. I think what it does as well is, with the 2 touchdowns from Zach Moss, it's opening up the running game in the red zone, which I think is not something we've really done before. And importantly, with that 3-headed beast, none of those heads has the name of Josh Allen. So as great as it would be great that Josh has the wild card element when you get to the red zone, because basically he's your best running threat when you get to the red zone, when you get 5 or 10 yards out. Josh is probably the guy that's probably got the best chance of getting into the end zone. I think now you've got 3 running backs, any of whom might be able to get into the end zone. And I think that again, like we've been saying for months, that takes the pressure off Josh from having to score. Again, getting back to Blackshear. So how many running backs do we take? 4 in total. And if the
we will take 4 in total.
But the 4th includes Tywan Jones potentially, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think
so that leaves you with our big 3, and then even that doesn't even include Duke Johnson, does it?
Yeah. Then that's what the good thing is. I mean, we can move on. We can talk the exact same thing about the wide receiving core, and again, it was shown up by Shakir. I mean, this preseason so far,
again,
8 targets.
Yeah,
8 targets, 8 receptions, 151 receiving yards.
Yeah,
he's making this roster.
Yes, and, no doubt.
And I still think, and people are going to say, yeah, but he hasn't played special team. He's shit on special teams, all that.
He's learning special teams. Come on.
No, yeah. But obviously, Shakir, he'll be rostered in there. But Isaiah Hodgins, I think, I think he's beaten Kumaro. I mean,
yes, I agree with you. Yes.
I mean, everyone will say Kumaro is the guy, is the one that will probably take that last roster spot. But again, Hodgins played majority of the special team snaps again.
Yeah.
Yes, he may not be as polished as a gunner as Kumaro.
Yeah.
But you've got him on there with that experience, obviously playing the whole of the first game as a gunner, and pretty much most, if not all, of the second game as it. He's getting those reps in, and he's making his opportunities count when he's actually being targeted. Because Kumaro's only been targeted twice this whole a couple of times in the previous game, but only really caught 2 catches in the 2 games for 19 yards. Isaiah Hodgins, he's almost pushed 100 yards in the 2 games.
Yeah, he had 3 catches, didn't he, against the Broncos? I think I made that
note.
Yeah, I made the note as well. They were good catches as well. They weren't gimmies either. They were. He had to pull them out of the air as well.
I'm just trying to figure out who the other 2 that dropped it were. Oh yes, Gabe Davis, Isaiah Hodgins, and there was one more that actually that dropped it for the incompletions. So obviously there was 3 incompletions.
I think they were targeted. I don't remember a particular drop. I think there was one that was. They did a miscue. There was a miscue to Davis in the end zone, which is one of those things, isn't it?
But just looking at it, it's the depth on there. You've got everyone's now. I think Gabe Davis is not a secret anymore.
No,
Gabe Davis is not a secret on there, and this now opens up the game a lot more for Isaiah McKenzie or Jameson Crowder, because
who I thought had another good couple of catches as well.
Yeah,
very happy for him as well.
because
he looks a lot better.
you've now got an opposition secondary that are either going to have to double team both Diggs and Davis, or double team one or the other. The other one goes free, and you open up the middle.
Yes.
And to say Shakir could take advantage on that.
Yes.
So really, I think we've got a really solid team, and you saw, and we just reiterate, 26 receptions, 302 yards altogether.
Yeah.
For targets. I'm just thinking, you're just thinking, this offense has not lost a step.
No.
And this offense,
if anything, I think they're slightly better.
Yeah.
And I was worried they wouldn't be losing Sanders and Beasley, but
yeah, we've lost Sanders, we lost Beasley, we gained Shakir, we've gained Crowder, we've gained James Cook, we in essence gained OJ Howard. So we've lost 2 wide receivers, but we added 4 pass catchers.
Yes. Okay, and an expanded role for McKenzie as well. So he's become a bigger player than he was before.
One's a tight end, one's a running back, but you still got a net of 2 pass catchers added in this offseason. So that is in a way good and enjoyable. And I think the biggest thing we've got to talk about is this O-line.
Yes.
You're seeing the Chroma effect.
And the Saffold effect.
Yeah, the Chroma and Saffold, yeah. Because what was it? They had this offense all game.
Yeah.
They did not allow a sack.
No.
Did not allow a quarterback hit. And did not allow a tackle for a loss in the whole game. Just let that sink in. That, and I say, that is mainly, obviously, you had the big 5 that I was telling you that we said there's Mornick and we start. But some of these do include the likes of Greg Manx. Cody Ford had a decent
he played left guard, didn't he? He played left guard.
Yeah.
I thought he looks pretty good actually with the seconds. He's not
not
quite become the guy we hoped he'd be, but he's certainly a depth O-line. He's proving himself as a depth O-lineman, isn't he? At the very least. So.
And there's talk about Bobby Hart having a decent game. I mean, when you hear the word Bobby Hart, decent game combined with no sacks, no quarterback hits, no tackle for a loss.
Yeah.
You're either playing against a very shite defense or you've got an actual O-line coach who has really changed the dynamic, has changed the philosophy, and actually really improved the scheme on that. And we know Chroma has done it from the past. Obviously, he's led the Rams to a couple of Super Bowl games. When he was in Buffalo originally, our run game, our protection was top notch. I think Chroma, if you had to tell me now, if I had to say it now, was the signing of the off season.
Yeah, there's a few people saying that, aren't they? Because your receivers, and as Case Keenum will tell you, if you don't have a decent O-line you had in week 1, you're only as good as your receivers and your O-line will allow you to be. And if the O-line can be as settled, and obviously injury is permitting, yeah, they look really good. One other comment I'd say as well. Questenberry looks to be the starter, doesn't he, over Spencer Brown? I'm wondering if it's the pass protection element.
Yeah, I think it's also with Questenberry. I think it's the fact that he has that experience. He's actually taken the majority of the snaps in first team. I think this is good for Spencer Brown because last year he was really thrown into the deep end. He held himself very well.
Yeah, he's only year 2 guy as well.
But you're sitting behind Blackshear. Not Black. I've got Blackshear on my mind. He's actually
I hear it.
He's actually been that impressive. But he's sitting behind Questenberry, a veteran on there. Obviously, Brown's still coming back from the injury. I don't think he's really participated enough in team drills during camp.
Yeah.
To really warrant actually definitely being a starting tackle. But should anything happen to Bates and Saffold, you may see Quesenberry go inside. You may see Spencer Brown come on. But this is what Cromer can bring. Cromer brings that experience. He can work with these guys and get them how they're supposed to play. And a guy like Spencer Brown, you could see him skyrocket and his game taken to a new level with Cromer as his O-line coach.
Well, what you've also got as well, I mean, we've got, let's see if I can see how my memory's working. We've got Dawkins, we've got Saffold, we've got Morse, we've got Bates, and we've got Quesenberry as your starting O-line. You've then potentially got Cody Ford, Spencer Brown, Mance, and potentially Tommy Doyle, and maybe Van Groten as your backups. Maybe the positions don't all match, but you've almost got a solid backup O-line, as well as a much improved starting O-line. He's almost getting a point where he's almost got a replacement. If you say you do Tommy Doyle as perhaps a backup swing tackle, and then you've got Spencer Brown as the backup right tackle, you've got Cody Ford as the left guard, you've got Mance as the centre, you've almost got there. Butker maybe goes in at left guard or right guard, perhaps, something like that. You've almost got a backup O-line that's not far off what we had last year or the year before. Certainly, like the 2020 season.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, we talk about depth. The addition of Saffold has been incredible. I mean, you look at the gaps and the holes he was opening up for the running backs on the left guard position, but then you look at who might come in the case of injuries. Pretty decent backup as well, aren't they?
Yeah, last week I was moaning a little bit, getting a bit worried about that O-line depth, but
I was.
It shows this week that it does take a little bit of time, but you can kind of feel comfortable if one of those first five have to go out, that there is at least serviceable guys in that backup that really will come through and actually and help the cause.
Yeah. You've got John Miller and Jordan Mills coming in, have you? You've got some some half decent handy guys that can come in, and depending on injuries as well, they may have to play for a few games.
Yeah, I mean, let's switch it up. Let's go defense. I think, to be honest, there's not too much really we can actually we can criticize that much about with this defense. I know there's a couple of sticky points. I mean, penalties were again an issue. 8 for 68 yards in a preseason game. You have some concerns about the rookie cornerbacks being a bit hands in all that. But apart from that, it's still a very strong, dominant defense, and there are people in there that actually could that were on the bubble, which probably have cemented and locked their roster spot.
Yeah, no, I think they have, and like I say, we have to remember that Benford and Elam are rookies. They are going to give away some silly mistakes. They are going to get blown. They're going to get blown out. They are going to perhaps give up a few touchdowns. That's kind of going to happen because that's the rookie thing, and I think they'll find their feet probably a little quicker. But yeah, it's worth mentioning, and they mentioned it on the commentary, that those illegal contacts and those DPIs, the pass interferences, are probably going to be the point of emphasis that referees are picking up on, because it's so much more offensively minded these days. They don't want to have any bump and runs. They don't want to have any contact between like the defensive back and the wide receiver. They want to see the big wide receivers make the big plays. So you can just see on a 3rd and 8 or something an opposing quarterback just throwing the ball in the direction of Elam or Benford and just hoping that they'll do their job for them and give them a grab and pick up the flag, and there you go, it's 20 yards. That's a free 20 yards. But that is us looking for problems. Trey's going to come back. Dane Jackson's looked pretty solid, and again, he was a worry about being a little handsy a year ago. He looks to be clearing that up and trending in the right direction and actually looking like a pretty decent cornerback now. So the guy's going to be fine. I mean, again, if we're going to be picky, I thought the tackling was poor in the first quarter and certainly in the first part of the game. But You looked at the second possessions, the third possessions that the defense were on. And yeah, some of the firsts came out, but I thought the rush then certainly improved. Shaq Lawson made a few good plays. He looks really good, and then you bear in mind he's probably the fifth end, is he?
Yeah,
the fourth or fifth end that he's going in. That he's probably locked up that position. But again, he was one of the best players we had 5-6 years ago.
Yeah,
and now he's probably the fourth or the fifth.
I think he has locked himself in that spot. I mean, we talked last week how many defensive line guys are they going to take? You could argue 5 defensive ends, that includes Lawson, 4 defensive tackles, where you've got Basham who can play inside as well on there. Or you may take 5 and 5 and actually leave Shaw in a different position, because Brandon Bryant had an okay game there, but Eli Anku showed up a little bit in that game. He had obviously he had the sack, he had a quarterback hit in there. Okay, it was late in the game, doesn't matter, but you've got guys, you've got that depth now. You've got Brandon Bryant, Eli Anku. Maybe they're fighting for that 10th spot if they take a 10th, but you have to admit that those two are probably going to be a practice squad guy. And I mean, let's show some, no pun intended here, let's show some love for Mike.
Yes.
I mean, he constantly, game in, game out, actually made plays. He's actually got in the backfield, been disrupted, had the pass deflection in that game. Obviously, what was it? It was obviously Shaq Lawson had the other one where he could have, if he kept his eye on it, could have caught it and actually run it back in. But Mike Love, he is a guy that's going to stick around on this team and eventually will crack the roster on there. I think he's got to be one of the dead certs for practice squads in there. But it just shows the work ethic, the Buffalo blue collar, work hard, work for your team mantra that they have around there, that everyone's getting involved, everyone's pushing each other that hard that there is going to be some very difficult cuts.
Oh God! I mean, I how good a job has Brandon been done, and particularly early days, of course. But you look how good the draft picks of this year's class have been. Look at who he's managed to pick up. Haven't even mentioned Matt Araiza yet, but you look how good those are going to be. But this next week or two, because I think they've got to get rid of another 5, haven't they? Got to get down to 80, haven't they? I think by Tuesday. And then after the third week,
I think it's
something like that. Tuesday, 4 p.m., something like that. I'm sure someone will correct us. I think that's down to 80, and then it's down to 53 about a week after that, isn't it? So it's going to be it's going to be really difficult.
Another thing is obviously the linebacker position. I mean, what was it? Is Joe Giles Harris had a decent showing on there. I mean, you're going with Edmonds, Milano, Bernard, Matakevich for his special teams play.
Yeah.
And probably more likely Dodson, because he's been in there.
Yeah.
Joe Giles Harris gives you an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Do you,
yes,
don't
he does.
you? Do you, don't you?
Baden Spector.
6th practice squad, 6th or practice squad. Can he play special teams and take away from Matakevich? Who knows?
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got Andre Smith, who is on his obviously can't play preseason, but come regular season is out for 6 weeks. Will he come back? Will that spell someone actually going? It's good that we've got this competition all the way through. That, let's say, no one can rest on their laurels, and we may have some cuts where we go around and think, what the fuck have they done? Why the fuck have they released him and got him on there? Because everyone in this preseason and training camp have really improved. And the one guy I know that I am comfortable with is Jaquan Johnson.
Yes.
He's come in. Every time he's come in, he's always played hard and played well. And if Hyde and Poyer do go out, I'm comfortable with Johnson stepping in to start in there because he's learnt from arguably, the best safety duo since they've been in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And he's got that physicality and that mentality to really give you that oomph and give you something that's missing or not missing in the case of how Hyde and Poyer actually play. So I think, and with Damar Hamlin as well, I think you've got your safeties locked are the only positions really that you can say are locked, and that's who you're taking through to the 53, obviously along with quarterback when you know it's going to be Alan Keenum, but you've got that lock already.
Yeah.
With those guys.
I think what you've possibly got as well, and I remember when Mark comes back, his thing was that they'll extend Poyer, and I think Poyer plays out the last deal, the last year of his deal, tries to get a Super Bowl, and then he walks. You've potentially got Jaquan Johnson just ready to step into the Poyer role. They run with Hyde for a few more years, play out his contract, and then potentially you've got a Hamlin or someone else to come in. So you almost got it, almost worked almost too well, almost for McDermott and Bean, that we get one more year out of Poyer. We've got Johnson to come in to replace him, and then we've potentially got another safety to come in when Hyde's when the time comes for him as well. So you mentioned conveyor belt earlier on. You've got the conveyor belt coming. You've almost got the conveyor belt coming for cornerback as well. Obviously we can't wait for Trey Wright to come back, but potentially you've got Elam and Benford and Jackson to replace him, and then you've almost got your future of your cornerback position there as well. So you've almost got this rotation of the secondary that's almost coming in. You can almost see that coming in the next 3 or 4 years, just to keep the salary cap issues from overheating. It's extraordinary, isn't it? But to answer your question, I really wouldn't want to be Brandon Beane, but I would want to be a GM watching who the Bills release, because obviously we'd love to have Blackshear, maybe Baden Spector, few of the guys on the practice squad, but I think someone's going to come in and get them. I think Daboll, the Giants are probably going to be watching for who's on the waivers there, because the Giants will probably come in, maybe Panthers. You think about who Bean's done deals with in the past, they're probably going to be keeping an eye on who the Bills release, give other teams a bit of depth of their own.
Yeah, and I think it's the one last thing that really we just need to talk about is, why did they not give Erasure the punt?
The one punt?
Yeah, because obviously it's on the 50. It was on the 50.
Well, why punt at all, really? But 4th and 1, wasn't it? I mean, you'd probably go for it, wouldn't you? But
this would be your tester for Erasure, how his hang time is. I mean, what was it, Matt Hack from the 50?
Yeah,
the punt only went 38 yards.
Yes,
it only went 38 yards. Okay, it pinned him inside the 15.
Yeah,
but you would at least try and think, if Hark is that precise, or can be that precise with thing, you would pin him a little bit further back inside that 5, and this would be where it kind of would be good to see how Erosia could actually could do that pin. We know he's got the booming leg. They can punt 62 yards for a touchback. But can you do it with the hang time? For the on a shortish play, so if it's just inside their own thing on a 4th and 4 at the Bills' 55-yard line.
Can he do it? Yeah, no questioning the leg. Can he get a punt to hang and then land on the 5-yard line and get it downed, or can he make the returner fair catch it at the 5-yard line, that sort of thing? Can he do an angled punt? Can he do the shorter ones? I mean, McDermott said after the game, because I think everyone was really interested in what his reaction was, and his answer was basically that Hack is still considered the number one punter, and it was the first punter they had. So technically, he's still considered the first string punter, and that's why he kicked it rather than a riser. If you put a riser in, you're basically saying that he's the starter. Now, thinking laterally, if a riser's going to be the guy, and he surely has to be, all the money and the fact the Bills don't probably punt that much, so he can have a relatively easy year. He's probably not going to be too much in demand as perhaps other teams would have him. You've then got to get a price for Matt Hack, and you put Matt Hack in the preseason game. He's then in the shop window of its own because you're not taking two punters. A riser was doing all the holding. I think he held all six.
Yeah.
So one could argue that a riser needed the practice at the holding and Hack needed the practice at the punting to make him more attractive than other things.
So that begs the question then: if Hack is the de facto number one,
yes, but
punter,
is on the way out. Yeah.
Do you then rest him for the whole of the Panthers game and give a riser it, or are you still doing Hack, then a riser, Hack, then a riser throughout the Panthers game?
Well, if you accept the logic, and most people do, that in the final preseason game, almost none of the starters will play because it's all about bubble guys wanting to make that final push to try and get onto the 53, then a riser would play the final game by logic of the fact, well, Matt Hack is the starter. We're going to give the seconds and the thirds. But he'd be doing the holding. He'll be doing the punting for that final game. And then the decision then comes, do you release Matt Hack? Do you have a relatively small dead money hit, or is someone else going to be interested in him? There usually is, isn't there? There's usually someone who might be interested in a punter. So that would be my prediction, that a riser basically does the holding and the punting of the final game, according to the logic of him not being the starter.
Yeah. So let's do this before we wrap up. Let's just quickly do the your stock up, stock down. You can have as many, if you can do a couple stock up, stock downs if you want, but who's your
I'll do one of each, then you do one of each, and we'll see if we've got any more after that. My stock up, I'm going to say OJ Howard, because I was really excited when he signed for the Bills, and he didn't have a very good game in the first. He had a drop, wasn't that good. I've seen some people arguing that he's more of a tight end 3, that he's basically just a blocker, which doesn't seem to chime with what I saw against the Broncos. He got a touchdown, made a couple of nice catches, and did block very well. So I thought actually that was a terrific bounce back game for him. Really pleased with that. So that's my stock up. My stock down, Mark, cover your ears. I'm going to say Kyrie Lamb. I would have hoped he'd have sort of kicked on in his second preseason game. I'm not going to dig in too hard in the kid. I think he's going to be fine. But he's going to need to fill that A4 pad with some more notes about not giving away silly penalties, because you're all right in preseason, but it will cost us. You do that against the Rams on prime time, they're going to flag you for that all time. So if he plays against the Rams in week 1 or against the Titans, which again is going to be prime time, Monday night, he better be doing his homework and figure out how not to do that.
Yeah. Then my stock up is Zach Moss.
Oh, good call. Okay.
Because as we mentioned, he's last year he didn't live up to what he was actually brought in for. This year he's actually shown up. We saw on that run where he got 11, he had the patience and he had the vision to find that gap, and he also had the patience in the red zone, where I think he's going to take the majority of the workload, that he can follow his blockers in and actually be that bowling ball type running back that we really need in this team. I think he is one of my stock ups. I mean, if I had to choose another one, defense, I would say it would be a toss up between, we mentioned it in the show, Mike Love and Anku.
Okay.
If we went defense and we had to choose one, I would go with those two. They really shone out, especially Mike Love in the 2 preseasons and what he's done to actually to really make you think in there. They're both probably not going to make it, but their stock is going up because they can make the play, and if they did get somehow put on the practice squad, and God forbid something happens to our defensive line, that you feel comfortable with those two coming in and making plays. And my stock down, it's hard for me. It's Nick McLeod.
Okay.
There was a lot of talk of him, obviously being that cornerback safety type guy, maybe come back to safety, had good training camp, really shone out a little bit, known for his playhawking and his physical presence, but he got lost a little bit. So did Cam Lewis as well, who I think had a decent camp and has always been on that bubble. But I think those two really have started to play themselves a little further out of that of contention for that 53, and especially in Lewis's case, I thought he would definitely be a guy that you would really look out for that for that 5th or 6th what do you call it, 5th or 6th cornerback position, obviously providing you're going with White, Jackson, Elam, Taron Johnson, Benford, and Saran Neal.
Yeah.
The fact that Cam Lewis and Nick McLeod really had that chance, and maybe they'll put up next week, but have that chance to really give a lot of thinking to Brandon Bean, Sean McDermott, how they want to make it up. So that's really my stock up, stock down. Really couldn't pick much on stock down, really, because there wasn't really that much negativity in that. That's not already being discussed and not obviously being preseason.
Yeah, I mean, I could have given higher marks for the dancing competition they did on the sideline as well. I mean, again, like the Bills in all cases, the effort was there. You know, the commitment, the passion was there. I'm just not sure. You know, I'm not sure Darcy's going to give them huge marks if they make it to Strictly. But again, look what we're having to talk about. Bills just don't have many gaps. We're talking about bubble guys who maybe could do a little better in the 3rd preseason game. We don't really have too many worries about the starting 11 on each side of the ball. It looks pretty fearsome, that, and perhaps more importantly, not just the stats and the strength and the experience and what have you, but they've got that look in their eye, haven't they?
I think you just, in the word Len Goodman, with that dancing, it's got to be a 7.
Yeah.
It makes it interesting for next week, and next week we're gonna probably do another review after the show, after the game. Obviously, we know that pretty much none of the starters are going, so all the guys that don't play next week, you can pretty much say you're on the roster, rest up. This gets to the interesting point where we can actually really thread the needle and see how the depth goes with it and who does shine in competition, because I'm hearing that the Panthers are looking to play the majority of their starters for quite a few.
The unbeaten record might be under threat, isn't it? I mean, it would be interesting to see how Bill's seconds go up against Panther firsts.
Exactly, and that will show how this defense and how this roster can be built with the depth, on how these bubble guys do against They don't know how long they're going to play. The Panthers are going to play their first string 4, but against the first string team, and see where we go. And it's going to be interesting once we review that. And then I think what we might do, we might do a one beforehand, just do a 53-man prediction. We might do that before the game, so, and then maybe a live one. Who knows? If people want to see a live episode,
I think we should do it in one. I think we should do a review and the 53. Get it all done in one go. But yeah, I'm happy to do it live. I'm gonna have to put trousers on for this one. So yeah.
If the listeners want us to do a live review and 53-man preview next week, please comment on Twitter on at UK_Bills, at RWBB podcast, on Instagram at UK_Bills, Buffalo Bills UK on Facebook and YouTube. Comment, say you'd love to do that, and you'll tune in, and we'll quite happily, me, Robin, and Mark, get on live, talk, review the game, and actually make a prediction for 53, and get you guys to participate as well. Give us your views, and we'll go and we'll see if between us we can build a UK Bills 53-man roster, and see how close we can get it to the actual Bills roster when that happens. I think on the Wednesday, I think it's the 31st or 1st of September that they actually have to announce it by. So till then, you can follow Robin at
Robin C. Armstrong.
You can follow Mark at This Is Sparky S. You can follow me at Matt SW86. And obviously keep sharing us on the socials, keep liking us, following us, subscribing to us. And for us, all we can say is good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for listening. Oh, and I forgot, week 3 for the Dolphins game, Fitzrover Bell. So it's 25th of September.
Yeah.
Big UK Bills get together there. I believe there's also one happening in Manchester. So if you're up north, head over to, I think it's Junior Jack's in Manchester. They're having a meetup for the Dolphins game there. So put that in your diary. And again, it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for listening and following. And let's go Buffalo Bills.
Go Bills.
And broadcast. Come on.